back. First of all, not financial advice. Consult your licensed financial advisor. The world has gone insane and the markets don't make sense. Well, they sort of do now, but don't use a lot of leverage. Be very cognizant of having a margin account. They just give it to everyone right off the bat. You need to ask them to take the margin off your account. Um, the markets are volatile. Commodities tanked. I expected that. I talked about it in my last video. So I'm going to talk about a few things, a lot of things here. But first of all, people keep asking. I like my 320p pixelation here. All right. I OPSEC reasons, and you guys don't need to see the pores on my face. Maybe I'll have some more quality videos when I feel like it. What else? Yeah, and the refresh rate, whatever, 15 refresh. That's good enough for me. All right, guys. Um, and what else? You guys want more videos? All right. Well, I need an incentive. I don't have any incentives to make more videos. I'm busy. I'm doing things. You know what? Here's some financial advice or whatever. Some life advice. All my life, I try to do everything myself. I don't call plumbers. I don't call landscapers. I don't call. I'll call an electrician. I don't. I don't want. I don't like messing with that. I mean, I could do some stuff, but very basic. Um, a good example. I needed some branches cut. I wanted to save the tree. It's a very large tree, like I don't know, like 100 foot, whatever, maybe less. I'm not exactly sure. It's a big tree. Um, some some tree arborist is driving by, and I stop him. I'm like, hey. He sees my tree, and it's like half dead. It's a big tree, and we talk about it, and he wants like $1,200 to chop down some dead limbs, and I'm just like, that's that's pretty wild. That's crazy. I could do that myself. So instead of paying the arborist like $1,200, what you could do is just buy all the gear because I know how to chainsaw trees and cut them down. I've got family members with a lot of property and everything, and I've been doing it all my life. I used to do landscaping in high school. I made good money too. It was like 15 an hour. This was like 15 years ago. Back then, that was a lot. It actually meant something. That's why I had the coolest cars in high school. Because I was like, I was wealthy because I worked since I started working for my dad when I was like age 11, but started landscaping before I could even drive. I'd ride my bicycle there. Anyways, so I went and I just bought all the gear and I climbed the tree myself and I cut down the branches. I saved myself like what, 600 bucks? But that's not where the wealth comes from. I mean, if you need to save money, that's a good way to do it. All my life, I've maybe once that I could, even maybe one time I got an oil change, from one of those oil lube stop places. Um, all my life, changed my own oil, changed the brakes, suspension, everything. Did my own plumbing, everything that I could manage to do. And if I can't finish the job, then I'll call someone, right? Or I'll call a friend or someone older who actually has life skills or trade skills, right? So the moral of the story is I never climbed a tree, but I climbed it, right? And I just gained the skill that I'll have the rest of my life. I bought all the gear, like the spikes, the entire get up, like I could rappel down. I know how to rappel down mountains and whatnot, but climbing, going up a tree, there's a lot of things to learn. How to rope it and everything. I don't even know how to call the things that I did, but you do have YouTube, and you can look it up, and there's people out there who will teach you a literal trade or skill. So you have the gear, now you have the skill, right? And you saved yourself like a ton of money. So I've been doing that all my life, and it probably saved me, I would say, easily over $100,000 in my lifetime. If not, like, who knows what I've saved by doing everything myself. Does it consume your time? Yes, but you learn the skill, and you could pass that on to your kids, and you could save a lot of money doing that. Now, I don't have to do that, but I enjoy doing stuff like that. Like, I know how to roof, I know how to do, like, I've had like 50 jobs in my lifetime. And in the summers during college and high school, I'd work like 3 jobs at once. I'm not bragging. That's what I did. I wanted the money, so I'd have the coolest cars and the clothes, and, I was motivated. Started investing in things back then. But anyways, so I'm in my late 30s, and so you guys get an idea. So I've been doing this all my life. So yeah, I've probably saved I I'm I really believe over 100 grand in the past 20 years. Yeah. So I probably took that money, right? And then I invested it in businesses which created more money. And then I take that money and then I invested in stocks and whatnot, cryptos, and then it just compounds and compounds. Obviously, it's not always a smooth ride, right? Um, there's You're gonna make bad trades. You're gonna make bad investments. Sometimes you just have to sit on your investment for a couple of years, and eventually it all pays off. So that's one of my little secrets to how I got where I'm at currently. Okay. So I don't know how I got on this topic. Oh, well, yeah, I'm a busy guy. So it's like, if people aren't buying my services, do I just make videos for fun? Like, I do enjoy, sharing all the knowledge and everything. And listen, I'm always getting two birds with one stone, at least. If I'm working out, headbuds in. If I'm working, landscaping, cutting just my own lawn, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm constantly educating myself. Literally, like, 8 hours every day. And I listen to everyone. Okay. And then I take all the information, and then I take it all in from multiple sources, and then I connect all the dots, and then I could relay that information to my following and put my take and my opinions and thoughts on it. And for many years now, it's worked out pretty well. I'm not always right especially on the shorter time frames, but on the long term, very right. And I'm not talking like Peter Schiff kind, like long term, like 6 months at a time. And that's what matters. Okay, if you could time the market, swing trade it on the macro, right? So I told you guys gold and silver was gonna fall with commodities and the rest of the market. The people who listen to me and raised cash are sitting very good right now. If you just held on, you're probably freaking out. I wouldn't say I did not call the top on Hex or anything, or, well, no, but I did call the top on crypto. So, and you guys need to understand that not going down with the ship, not going down with the market, is just as important as investing in the right things and buying the bottoms. How do you buy the bottom if you don't have any extra fresh powder on the sidelines? I mean, if you have a job, but how much out of every paycheck can you throw into the market when we have gas at like $6 a gallon, and a loaf of bread's like $6, and then and everything's just going up, right? Everything, and that explains why the markets are going down, why crypto's annihilated and everything, right? They raise interest rates 1%, and we're in the recession, and it's here. And I truly believe normies have figured it out, because I was just driving around, and yeah, there was like no one on the roads. Nobody. It's dead. What does that tell me? Nobody's going out. Nobody's going to friends' houses. No one's going to concerts. Nobody's going anywhere. They're just everyone's just tapped out. I've got a neighbor like not down the street, not too far off. I can see out my window. Um, he's got one of those big boats. This guy would take it out every day. As of late, he hasn't been taking it out. I'm just telling you guys, like I pay attention to the small things, and it's pretty evident. So let's get into it. Where did I leave off? I have no idea. I started this video like 3 times, so I'm a little confused. I'm gonna talk about Bren Johnson's milkshake theory. This was a good video. You should watch it. I'll go through the news. I'll go through the charts. I'll go through everything. Where is? Here we go. So here's what's very important, and I'm gonna talk about something that not most, I haven't heard any financial guy on YouTube, um, or stock guy, anything like that, talk about what I'm about to talk about. Not even you know, the milkshake theory guy, right? But he is the closest to come to it. Okay, and yeah, that happened as well. So let's go back. Okay, so the milkshake theory, I've talked about it many times, and it is playing out. The DXY, the dollar, it's at like 106 handle. All right, so globally, what is it? Sri Lanka or Sri Lanka? I can't even speak. But I thought I was screenshot. It was not. Here we go. You guys should watch this video and look at if you go on my Twitter or you're in my chat groups, there's a free news group on Telegram. It's pretty dope. You should probably be there, or at least check on it every once in a while. You could turn alerts off. Um, because I there's a lot of things I don't even talk about on my videos, and I do daily updates every day. I might miss a day here and there, but I'm pretty much on top of it daily. Um, but anyways, globally, there's food shortages starting to happen. There's an energy crisis globally, right? Things are really heating up still in Eastern Europe. The DXY is up. The milkshake theory is actually happening, and not just that. On top of that, right? His little milkshake theory here. There's geopolitical tension. On top of that, we have the WEF just shutting down farms across the world, and on the periphery, right? Third world and second world countries are starting. They're actually worse off than the U.S. and Europe because they're affected first, and the dollar is a knee-jerk reaction safe haven because the dollar is still the best in the world. We'll see how long that lasts. But because of that, and all the debts denominated in dollars, basically everyone's kind of going bankrupt in the second and third world because they can't service their own debts. On top of that, because, we need to reduce Z carbons, all 9 billion of Z carbons. Yeah, they're shutting down farms in Europe. While gas, they have an energy crisis there, and they have higher inflation than the U.S. right now. Could you imagine? So essentially, Europe's just imploding right now. This is all very good for the dollar. Is there capital flight into U.S. equities? Not so much. That already happened back in 2020. With COVID, right? So, and I'll look at the charts. We'll go to the charts. So here's what no one's really talked about. Okay. Crisis economy, which the U.S. can benefit off. Now, I'm not saying things are great in the U.S. They're not. They're just better than everywhere else. And a lot of people might think, well, China's not doing bad. Well, yeah, they are. I mean, the U.S. is their number one customer, right? So if we're not buying trinkets, that things will get very bad there. And they have their own issues with their massive real estate, empty buildings everywhere, ghost cities, and they also have agricultural and food problems as well. And then of course with Russia and Ukraine, It's the breadbasket of the world, apparently. Actually, the U.S. is. But, I question these figures and stats, but a decent amount of food does come out of there. One thing that does come out of there, which really matters, is, well, there's a couple things that you can't really get anywhere else around the world is fertilizer and I forgot what the gas is called, but the gas is used to make what was it? I think it's for nuclear power plants. You need like this gas to enrich all that. I don't know. And then no, I'm wrong. It's the gas to create a semiconductor. Now there are companies popping up in the U.S. already in advance. People do see this issue coming, so I'll be looking to invest in those. I do not believe right now is the time. I'm waiting a little bit longer here for the markets to possibly go lower. But the crisis economy is for the U.S. is essentially benefiting off of the EU possibly probably going to break up. And they have a sovereign debt crisis. And Lagarde is raising rates, I guess, but they're way late. So the US is late, but because the US is raising rates, it's forcing them to raise rates and their economy and their energy crisis. So basically their inflation is they're feeling it more than the US, and they're much later to raise rates so they could cut them later to re-inflate the economy, because that's what the US is doing right now. Powell knows that we're in a recession and it's going to get really bad, but they have no better alternatives. They have no alternatives. All their solutions are is worse, way worse, really, really bad. Okay. So right now they're okay with putting us into a recession and dumping the equities and stock market, and then they will eventually cut rates and then do QE again. And I've said this numerous times. It'll probably be because of geo conflict globally. Globally, okay, that's what's coming. All right, guys, it's coming. So, and I can't talk about that stuff here. Like that's why I have chat groups. Anyways, so let's just say historically that's what happens when empires have well, all sorts of decay, right? From moral to societal to just everything. Their currencies, their debt driven, and that includes all of Europe and the US and even China. So, and then when resources run thin or they start running out, like in this case, for Europe at least, uh, what happens? Well, if you run out of resources, you start taking your neighbors, right? And I guarantee you, I don't want to say keywords, but I guarantee you Russia is using Europe's and US's, let's say, political and economic positions against, like, they see the when the iron's hot you gotta strike, and they saw the weakness, and they see the opportunity to make their move now, right, to secure their empire. So that's what's happening, right? So and they know that Europe depends on Russia. I mean, they went off of uranium, uh well, for electricity, or nuclear. They went off nuclear for creating electricity in Germany, and a lot of Europe did, and then they went green, and then Russia's like, oh, you guys are completely relying on my natural gas and my oil, right? So we could do whatever we want. I mean, it was pretty obvious this was going to happen. All right, so the crisis economy is, as the world goes to shit, the dollar looks better, and it kind of buys more time for the US, and that is a deflationary kind of outcome, right? Now, I'm not saying there's going to be deflation in the US. I mean, I already sort of see it. There's sales everywhere. People kind of stop shopping already. But that doesn't mean, so there's going to be deflation in maybe consumer goods, but at the same time, I mean, we have serious agricultural problems happening right now. Like farming is getting wrecked globally, and that ties into energy, and then it ties into crazy people who and they are paying the farmers to not farm. They are, and it's like a suicide. Like I don't know what's going on. It's like a mission to destroy humanity. That's really what I'm. Uh, it's either massive incompetence in the leadership of the West, which does exist, or it's also planned, which that is also what's happening. Honestly, it's at the point where it's just crazy people, man. Crazy people are running the show. All right. How do you go green and just cut off food and energy? Like, what do you think's gonna happen, right? I here's the thing though, they're not that crazy. They're still afraid, right? So in Germany, they turned on the coal plants. So and then now they're calling that green, and then they just started calling natural gas green and everything green. So they're complete hypocrites and they're full of shit, right? And it is kind of green if you think about it. It warming the environment is great for plant life, creates Amazons and tropical rainforests. Anyways, this crisis economy for the U.S. is basically as everything goes to crap around the world, the Fed could keep raising interest rates and get away with it. How does that make sense? Well, the dollar is the strongest. So far, it's still the reserve. And why is that? Because everyone's debt globally is dependent on the dollar because it's denominated in dollars, U.S. treasuries. So everyone took out loans in dollars. They have to pay them back in dollars. Now, how long will this last? Like who's gonna eventually? Countries are gonna on the third and second worlds. They're on the periphery. They're just gonna start defaulting. Okay, and then the Fed will capitulate pretty soon. And but I do think they should be able to get in one more 1% rate hike. I think that'll be it. But he's going to go big. He has to go big because he needs something to cut when they try to reinflate the economy because everything is falling apart and collapsing very quick. Because the bigger the bubble, the bigger the debt, the debt, the you know, the less they have to hike interest rates for people to start defaulting, right, or on their loans and obligations, and mixed with oil above WTI $100 a barrel over that, it's too much. And employers are not they are raising people's wages, but not for only high level jobs, not blue collar. White collar get decent raises, but they're gonna start doing layoffs pretty soon, I believe. But they're the only ones who got those raises. Blue collar, not really. Maybe a little bit, and then everything under middle class blue collar workers, yeah, like they're getting raises as well, but it's still not enough. It doesn't make up for maybe the commute, and then it's just not enough. It really isn't. Because inflation's really running around 16% a year as of right now. And that probably doesn't even include some other things like asset prices exploding, right? Now, the good news is I believe Powell is going to raise rates 1%, and then the market's going to dump pretty hard, and we need that, and that'll be a great buying opportunity. Here's the futures. So, what's going to happen? And again, my reasoning is he needs to raise rates to stop inflation. He needs to raise rates because then he has more ammunition later to reinflate the economy. And then, as the US raises rates, capital flight into the dollar does happen, right? Which, in a weird way, it still makes the US better off than the rest of the world, right? And it buys more time. And this enables Powell, the central bank here, to do it to do 2020 all over again. Except this time, it's gonna have to be bigger, and the balance sheet is gonna end up being like 20 trillion by 2024, which brings us into big election year, which makes sense. And then, but what will be the catalyst? Can it just be, oh, the economy is in a hardcore recession? Maybe it's the housing market blows up again. So listen, this is gonna be wild times, guys. Mortgage-backed security crisis 2.0, quite possibly WW3. And guys, it's happening. We're in that. We've been in that for a while now. I mean, whatever happened in Canada or yesterday, who knows what that was? Like cyber attacks, those are happening left and right, right? So, just the instability globally is insane. It's wild if you pay attention to the news, right? Um, Food imports, a lot of imports into the U.S. They might not be coming if there's civil unrest in these third and second world nations, right? Like in Latin America, things are just they're falling apart. And it's happening there because they don't have the world reserve currency, right? So the US will be the last domino to fall, I believe. So that allows Powell to do one big rate hike, which will dump equities, which is fine. It's also going to dump crypto, which is fine. And then they're going to reinflate everything. And the excuse will be probably WW3, I'm believing. So I know it sounds nuts and wild, but I don't know why anything surprises you guys at this point, right? We're at the fourth turning. So let's just look at charts now, and that's my crisis economy theory for the U.S. at least. Europe is just in bad shape, and they keep escalating everything. Boris Johnson just got booted. That's rare. And he's one of the approved managerials of this world, right? So, there's riots that are probably going to break out even more in Europe, all over the place, and just a level of uncertainty. And the VIX isn't. We'll look at that in a second. So, this is enabling Powell to raise rates, basically, and they're okay with letting the stock market fall further, I believe, because if they could just stop inflation, right? Or maybe even push it back down. And this is going to happen quick in the next 4 weeks. Like inflation all of a sudden will stop. But listen, the data they get is always a couple months late. So whatever they're doing now is what's gonna be the data in a few months from now. So the CPI and the data that's gonna come out, I believe it'll be above 8% or around 8%, maybe 7, whatever. It'll be just enough for them to give them the excuse to raise rates. Also, jobs jobs don't look too bad according to their data. It's probably because a lot of stock traders and crypto bros went back to work. And there's still hiring signs everywhere, but I do believe economic activity has really slowed down a lot, and they're gonna start. Actually, companies are probably gonna start laying people off, probably by next month. So, but that economic data for jobs wasn't bad, meaning the market just realized, oh crap, Powell has no excuse not to raise rates because of inflation, right? So we have that. So yeah, that's what's gonna happen. They'll probably get inflation back down to like 5%, 4% maybe, if he raises rates one full 100 basis points the next meeting, which is like the 26th, 7th, or 28th, towards the end of this month. And then that'll dump the stock market, dump cryptos, and something will happen globally. Things will escalate. Things in Europe look really bad. I don't know how Germany and the EU and the ECB is going to bail out Greece, Italy, Spain, when their own economies are in recession. And that was a headline last week that Germany's like in recession. Um, and they haven't raised rates substantially or anything near what the US is doing. Like, I really don't know what's going to happen in Europe, but it doesn't look good. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna have like runaway inflation there, I believe, and I guess food shortages because I guess this is the best time to go Captain Planet over there, guys. It's not about the environment. The carbon's you. If you haven't figured that out, all right. I just you know I got the way I have to word things in these videos. I just have to be careful. I mean, my channel's already people will never find it, so that's why I ask you guys to share the videos. It's the only way my channel grows, and I'll keep doing it, right? And join the private group because I'm over here preparing, right? And that means I'm brushing up on all my trades. Like I know how to weld, I know how to machine, I know how to do all kinds of things, and I'm just adding to that. So I am completely self-reliant. If something breaks, there's no one I could call. At least I know how to fix it, right? If a water pump breaks, right? If that's an investment that you guys, I feel like a lot of you, not all, but probably most people don't have. And in the end, that might be wealth, the wealthiest thing, right? Like, no one will take your money. They're like, no, like, what can you do? Like, fix. And I'll give you this. I'm not saying it's going to get to that, like bartering or anything, but there'll be a lot of that. There'll be a lot of, hey, I need you to come and help me um, fix this car or help me finish building this home or something like that, right? And then you go do that, and now they owe you a favor. You know what's great about that? No one could tax that. So I'm not even worried about that. Things look so bleak going forward this decade that there's just going to be independent economies and hardcore balkanization, and you're gonna see empires break up just like the Roman Empire. So make sure your location's in a nice where you think it's gonna end up, right? Anyways, what was I even talking about? I don't even know. Let's just get into crypto and then the rest of the equities. Bitcoin again. There's support like around literally 10,000. Is there minor support at around like I don't know. I think it's gonna dump hard. Mt. Gox apparently might be releasing 150,000 Bitcoin, and these people were buying Bitcoin. So when that exchange went down and it got hacked, people were buying it around like 300 and some dollars, and a lot of them probably bought prior, maybe $200. I listen. If I had if I needed the money, right, which probably a lot of them do or want it, I'd sell that shit. I mean, if you bought it at like $350, it's at 21,000. I don't think anyone could resist, to be honest. So yeah, and then Bitcoin will pull down. You know what's funny? If Bitcoin crashes like sub 10,000, which could easily happen, MicroStrategy goes down, and that might help take the equities down, stock market as well. And on top of that, another, I'm I'm guessing 1% rate hike. I think he's gonna surprise the markets, right? Anyways, Ethereum's on my blue line, so Ethereum might hold up better than Bitcoin but honestly, a quick dump down to like $400, something like that, why not? But that's my weekly. This is my 3 day on Bitcoin on the left. Bitcoin's on the left. You guys can see the tickers. My blue line's at 16,000. Okay, listen. If Bitcoin just doesn't crash sub 16,000 for some reason, like Mt. Gox doesn't release those coins, or they just do a super slow release, and the POW pivots, then yeah, around 16,000 can be the bottom. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think it's just going to dump. And honestly, the release of all those coins, kind of suspect. Why would they do it right now? This is the worst time to do it, right? It's like they were waiting for the perfect opportunity to dump Bitcoin, putting on that tinfoil, you know? Hex, this does look like a bearish pennant. Yeah, that's all I have. We don't know when Pulse Chain's coming, so honestly, I would love to see this shit dumped to like a quarter of a penny and just stay there for a few months. A lot of people are like, no. Well, I kind of want to listen. I'm gonna be real. No one invites me on. There's a reason. A lot of sharks and dolphins, they keep rolling over like 100 million like hex stakes, and they do it like every 2 weeks, month, and they kind of live off of it. And I've already said this. I mean, that's like a lot of selling pressure constantly, and the sentiment's bad, right? And people thought Pulse Chain would be out by now. They probably over invested, and now they're forced to sell. A lot of Rolexicans, they took profits, right? Maybe around 25 cents, 30 cents, 40 cents. Well, they probably owe taxes on that. They got to pay it, right? Um Maybe they spent too much money and now they got a huge mortgage. You know, it's like all kinds of reasons. The economy, inflation, it is what it is. But I'm going to make a separate video on all this. There's way more to this that's more in depth. I just don't want to do it now. Maxi, there's a lot of bullish stuff coming out for it in the next 4 to 6. I like it. I'll make a separate video on crypto. All right. Here's the Vanguard Global World Equities, right? Monthly chart. I think it's going to revisit this support around $74. Now, I look at this because this is like kind of gauging the entire global economy, right? Down 24%. It's pretty good. It's a bear market after 20%. Where am I at? All right, I'm going to make this an hour video. All right, here's the S&P 500, Dow, US dollar, DXY, volatility index, gold, and 10-year yield. All right, the Dow, what does it look like? Looks like just another dead cat bounce, bearish pennant here on the Dow for the daily. What does the S&P look like? Same. They've both broken below major support moving averages. Let's take a look at the dollar. Shot up. I do believe I did say in my last video the dollar was going to go higher. This is a daily chart. Let's go to a weekly. Yeah, I mean, it broke out past 103 resistance. It actually went down, retested it, and shooting right back up right now. It's looking... Now look, this was back in this was 2008 during the crash, the mortgage-backed security crisis, right? But prior to it, the dollar was falling massively against foreign currency. There wasn't major inflation back. So again, separate the DXY from real inflation. It's just the power of the dollar, purchasing power, versus other currencies around the world. Which, yes, that does make imports cheaper, which is not bad, right? That's why I believe they're going to raise rates even more, because it helps the dollar go higher. And they really do need that dollar to go as high as humanly possible, because once Jerome pivots and then the markets might figure out, like, hey, we're never going to reduce that balance sheet or pay off or we can't normalize interest rates. But I do believe they're timing it with just geopolitical global volatility, if you know what I mean. That's what they're timing it. That's what they're timing. So that'll shoot the dollar up. I don't know how high. I'll be impressed if it gets to 120 by the end of this year. That'll be impressive. Can it? I do believe so. So what does that mean for commodities and gold? I'll talk about that in a second. Let's go back to... but here's what's really... Man, listen. The PPP team, Punch Protection here, they're messing with the VIX. All right? I mean, this is unreal. The VIX shouldn't be dropping this much in the past 4 weeks. I mean, I took profits up here and I've been buying back in for the past 2 weeks, and it's kind of wrecking me. And I mean, this needs to turn back up. And I do believe as we get those CPI numbers, I believe next week it's going to start. The VIX will rebound and go back up, mainly because we're getting closer to the FOMC rate hike decision and more economic data. If you look on the calendar, it's going to come out. And I do believe that CPI is going to be around 8%. Maybe a little under, maybe a little higher. Because listen, oil hasn't come down. That's like half the inflation. All right, so here's the 10-year yield. This is what's interesting. It's back above 3%. The higher the 10-year yield goes, the more likely the market's going to sell off, right? And everyone's corporate junk bond debt comes due, and everyone's car payments go up. Mortgages are, I don't know. I feel like people are just getting they're really starting to feel the fact that their mortgages are going up for the people who have adjustable, right? And another reason why the housing market's it's already popping. Prices should be dropping now. They are, um, is because no one could afford those mortgage payments of like $2,000 a month for your starter home. So one thing, if the mortgage payments go up with the interest rate, then guess what? The price of the home, the asset, must come down. That's just how it works. And the Fed they're doing uh, quantitative tightening. What do you think they're offloading off their balance sheet? Those are home mortgages. And Blackstone and BlackRock, they're still holding the bag. I wonder if they're unloading right now. They have. People say, well, they're going to slowly unload to not shock the market. Well, guess what they have against them? Rates going up. Now, maybe they're smart enough to anticipate the fact that the Fed's going to pivot. Yeah, but that doesn't mean people are going to be able to suddenly afford these prices again. No, their savings just got wiped out by inflation. So yeah, I believe the 10-year yield by the end of this month it'll spike back up, maybe make a new high towards 3.74 as the stock market starts crashing. I mean, it could even spike up to 5. At that point, the Fed will probably Powell pivot. Yeah. Here's Tesla. Tesla's rallying because Elon's not gonna buy Twitter, and now he's getting sued by Twitter for not buying it because it's garbage, right? What is it like? Probably at least 15% of Twitter's fake bots, but I forgot what it was, but it was a huge number. It's just fake, and a lot of people, all of Twitter's fake, guys. It's just smoke and mirrors. It's wizardry to make people think that the lefties are bigger than they are. They are the minority. And all these accounts with blue check marks, half their following's fake. And I'm shadow banned on there. I can't follow anyone. If I don't follow you back, it's because I can't. It's been like that for like 8 months now. These stocks all look like they've bottomed out. This is Facebook or Meta now, Amazon. This is Arc Innovations, Netflix. Home Depot is getting hit. I said that was going to get hit more. But he's going to raise interest rate a full percentage point. Now, here's a thing that you could speculate or think that the market is think. Does the market kind of know what I'm saying? And they're just buying the dip ahead of time. I think they don't understand that the market has to go at least another 10 to 20% lower to reduce the wealth effect, right? So people feel wealthier when their stock portfolios are worth more, right? So they shop more and they feel like, oh, well, it's all right. I got all these stocks that are worth so much more now. And that's what they're trying to stop in order to stop inflation. That's the only way they could really stop and bring down inflation. And I'm not saying bring back down to 2%. I'm talking about like 4 or 5%. So that's what the stock market doesn't get. Yeah, Powell's going to pivot, but he still has to at least bring it back down to 5% before he does. Because if he doesn't, that's when we have runaway inflation. That's when everything just goes like seriously, like scorched earth. It's really bad then if we have runaway inflation and they're doing QE and like sending out checks. That's like real Venezuela stuff, Zimbabwe. All right, here's the FANG index. Yeah, I mean FANG right here, it could revisit 3,700, no problem. That's where my next fib retrace and some support and price action. S&P 500 financials. Here's another thing that they probably look at. So they came out with stress tests on banks. Listen, it's when financials get hit really hard is what they're afraid of. Because if any of those big financial institutions goes up, that really scares everyone. And then uh, the 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 money market funds freeze, and that's when you start looking at like, oh God, everything went from bad to we're like 3 days away from the ATMs stopping. Like they got to shut them down, and you can't go more than like what, like a day or two before people freak out. They're not getting their Starbucks coffees, can't buy food, can't get gas. Oh, by the way, I still believe we're gonna see gas shortages. I mean, they're sending out cards in California already. If they don't let investments go into oil, because this admin is not allowing that. You can't really invest in new exploration and production of oil in the U.S. How insane! How insane! That's what I'm saying. Like it's like a crazy cult, right? That they're they've they've lost touch with reality. They're nuts, man. They actually think they can control everything and micromanage it. It's such a complex system built on a card of lies and debt. It's nuts, and they're playing these games. Anyways, yeah, gold. So I was expecting a drop to 1760. It's at 1740 right now. I went a little lower, like 1720. Listen, if equities dump real hard, you're gonna see a margin call. The banks are gonna take advantage of it, and they're gonna slam it down as far as they can. The 200-week moving average is likely to be tested, and that's around 1670, 60, around that area. And then I'm going to start loading up on my mining stocks. And I'll probably get some more physical as well. Here's the ratio of oil to gold. So I also believe not only are they trying to get inflation down, but they want to get oil down. I don't know how they're going to get oil down. I mean, we're depleting our reserves. So I don't want to get into it, but you guys should, it's easy to figure out where it's all going. Well, actually, no, it's going to multiple places who are in competition with us, but kind of joint at the hip at the same time. It's very this is where globalism gets. So as oil drops, so does gold. There's definitely some correlation. So if gold could retest 100, they'll probably, again, I wanted to see 80. It's probably not going to fall to 80. It'll probably hit like $95 a barrel, and that'll be it. I believe that's where the bottom will be. And people think it'll go lower because we're in a recession, depression. No, I believe OPEC is at max capacity. I listen to people who know what they're talking about when they talk about oil. And wars need a lot of oil, and Europe needs a lot of oil, and the U.S. production of it has been halted or freeze for no good reason, except green. This is what I guess people voted or not, but there's a lot of people who just live in a fantasy land because they've had it way too good too long. They believe all this. Guys, I don't know if I talked about this in my last video. There's like infinity oil. I'm telling you. I'm not going to get into that in this video, but even the wells that dry up, maybe give it like some decades and they'll fill back up. Or just go lower. Or tap new regions and areas. Like, it's either that or everything, like we go back to the Stone Ages. Flintstone style. Alright? Like, and it's not going to be pretty. Because most people don't know how to do anything. And when people are hungry, like you guys, you guys know. All right. So, and everything runs on oil. Everything. I don't really want to talk about EVs right now. So, the video's long enough. Here's light crude oil futures. It wicked down to my green line at 92 bucks. 95? Did it really? This is a weekly chart. Yeah, I guess it did wick down. Man, it hit my target. Margin calls maybe, and 1% rate hike, and the news will be like, oh, we're in a depression, a deflationary depression. They're going to be saying that oil will probably sell off. And yeah, maybe there is a chance we hit 80, my target, my initial target. It's just, it's questionable because China's coming back online because they were locked down all winter. Most people don't even know that in the US. And if they're coming online, and what if they make their move, on that island? I feel like that brings more demand for oil. Although globally, right? And then, yeah, Russia's probably supplying them with cheap stuff, but because they're not, supplying Europe anymore. But then I believe the US will supply Europe, which makes prices go up, right? And it technically shouldn't even fall back down to 80. Oh, by the way, it costs like, so let's say 50, 60 years ago, like one barrel of oil paid for like 100 barrels of oil. It cost one barrel of oil to produce 100 barrels. Right now, it costs like one barrel of oil to like make four or three. Basically, I heard it's like $60 to make a barrel of oil before, like taxes and all kinds of other fees and stuff and transportation logistics. So $60. So for it to fall back down to 80 is if it does, it'll be quick, right? It'd be like a wick down and day. So I'd be lucky just to buy it at around 90 or 95, to be honest. I'll just start scaling it. Natural gas had a great run. I do believe there's a great dip buying opportunity. If it revisits my blue line, which it probably will, at $5, I'll start looking to scale into that and buy. Agriculture took a dip, nice. Um, and this is a fun. I'll be looking to buy the dip on agriculture because man, oh man, we're gonna see some empty shelves, I believe, this winter. I don't think it'll be that bad in the US, but Europe, very bad. So we'll be exporting a lot of it. But here's the thing, they're paying the farmers to stop farm. Listen, I believe the WEF agenda is gonna just disappear in about a month. All right, guys, it's done. It's donezies. All right, because if they keep going with it, people are gonna snap, and I'm talking billions of them all at once. Like everyone's just gonna go, ah, and there's nowhere to run. I mean, they can run in the South Pole, but I don't think they want to. So they're gonna stop. Oh, by the way, maybe that's why this happened. That's the hedges or the guide stone. I was thinking about Stonehenge. It does kind of look like it. What a stupid design. That wouldn't last 100 years. Looked kind of cheap compared to the stuff men used to build during the Renaissance or prior to that, Rome, right? And then prior to that, and weak. But that also shows that people are at their wits, man. They had enough. Copper futures. So Dr. Copper, that's what people say. 2008, it crashed prior, which signaled a recession, and crashed during. This looks just like that, guys. Just like it. It also happened during COVID, and this was just a trend, like as inflation went down during all the way up from 2011 to 2000. But this on copper looks a hell of a lot like this, right? And it's also because of housing, right? So if the housing market blows up again, it's a lot less copper fittings and whatnot for your pipes. All right. And recession means less demand for copper. All right, I was gonna go through the news, but I don't want to make this too long because people won't watch. Most people could only devote an hour. And you guys can speed the videos up. Just go into the settings and or just split it in half and watch the other half. All right, guys, share the videos. Join my private group. Uh, Smash them likes. Leave something in the comments section. If you don't show up in the comments section, it's because you said something stupid to me. And I just like I have no tolerance for any of that crap, guys. But yeah, leave a comment in the comment section. So until next time, I'll probably make a video soon. Maybe not tomorrow or the day after, but I do want to go through the news and go into more detail. I'll make a crypto video soon. And yeah, guys, until next time.